On today's exciting episode of Undercover Boss, we're showing you 2 episodes featuring 2 bosses that are faced with the worst employees in Undercover Boss history. How will these bosses deal with the situation, and will these employees get what they deserve?
Obviously, I didn't want to blow my cover, so she's actually getting lucky that the show is being filmed, because if she wasn't, she'd be walked out of here today.
Tune in to find out. On our first episode, we see the president of Moe's Southwest Grill, one of the fastest growing food chains in the world, who decides to go undercover. He will get down and dirty and do whatever it takes while working side by side with his employees, and this boss discovers the people who sacrifice it all to make his company grow. But what will happen when he comes across an employee with a bad attitude who keeps cutting coworkers down to size?
Mike, sweep the line. God, you are just a ding-dong.
I don't like to see managers run a shift like this.
Headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, Moe's Southwest Grill offers healthy cuisines at 500 locations, serving more than 150,000 guests a day, making it one of the fastest growing chain restaurants in the world. Leading this $500 million a year company and its 10,000 employees is President Paul D'Amico.
My name is Paul D'Amico, and I'm the president of Moe's Southwest Grill. Welcome to Moe's!
Moe's is a high-energy restaurant, and they're known for their burritos, quesadillas, tacos, and nachos, and it was founded in 2000 in Atlanta, Georgia. And their brand grew very quickly throughout the Southeast, and in 2007, Paul joined the company to lead it to its next evolution. Today, Moe's Southwest Grill has 500 restaurants in the US and in Moscow, and they're opening a new restaurant every 6 days and growing really rapidly. Paul's role as a president is to bring the most talented, high-energy people into this brand, and his favorite thing to do is to partake in the culinary development and spend time with the executive chef, and also doing stuff like tasting the new recipes is something that he loves to do. Paul grew up in eastern Long Island. His father worked as a chef, and as a 9th grader, he took him to the restaurant to teach him about the business. Paul started working as a dishwasher, and he really enjoyed working in a restaurant, and after he finished high school, he joined a culinary school, and he then got his business degree, and 25 years later, he was the president of Moe's. Since Paul joined the company, they have been growing really fast, but he still wants to grow faster and improve while doing so. Paul wants to go undercover because he wants to find out if there are any issues that he can fix. He'll be going undercover as Mark Richards, a failed restaurant owner. His employees will be told that he's a contestant on a reality show, competing to win his own restaurant. For his first job, he travels to Fort Myers, Florida, to work as a shift supervisor.
Today I am in Fort Myers, Florida, and I will be working with a shift supervisor.
He meets up with Tito, who takes him to the kitchen and shows him how to roll a burrito, and he then tells him to do it and gets angry at him when he makes a little mistake. Paul was a little frustrated, as this is not how managers should be training new employees, but Tito tells him that this is how he had done it with all of his workers.
I'm going to show you one time, I'm not going to show you again, and you're going to do it right. And that was a bit shocking to me, because that is not how you train within Moe's.
He then puts him on a meat cutting job and again yells at him and insults him when he messes up a little. Paul also sees that Tito yells at other workers as well, even if they're doing their job well.
Oh my God, you are just a ding-dong.
And he sees that the mood in the kitchen is actually turning sour. This really angers Paul, but he keeps his cool to not blow his cover. He later sees that Tito had only been a manager for 2 months, and he's only 19.
I'm 19.
Yeah.
This is my second job ever.
That's it?
Yeah, and it's my first manager experience.
Paul sees that Tito might be acting this way because this is his first job, and he doesn't really know how to lead people. The next day, he travels to Charleston, South Carolina to work with the manager, and he meets with Angelisa, and she teaches him how to use the cash register.
Time that they leave your counter, okay? So you have to multitask, and you have to be happy the whole time that you're doing it.
And he then does the job, but he was a little too slow, which wasn't really helpful, especially during the lunch rush, and people were waiting in line, but Angelisa helps him out and they finish the job. While working with her, Paul sees that she has a great relationship with her workers and her customers, as most of them are regulars and they really like her.
Oh, you switched it up. Where are your tacos?
I know.
You didn't get your tacos
I
today.
tacos today.
There you go.
Great, thank you.
She then teaches him to make tacos, and with her great teaching skills, he does pretty well, and he later learns that she's a single mom and has to work long hours to support her 2 children. The next day, he travels to Columbia, South Carolina to work with a catering director, and he meets up with Janet, and she takes him on the road to the sheriff department to set up a buffet. Paul sees that Janet is very organized and meticulous in doing her job.
The first thing that I got from Janet was that she is extremely organized.
When I set up a catering, all of my utensils are to the right.
And her customers really like her and invite her over multiple times. They then go to another place to get free samples, and Paul accidentally uses his real name when introducing himself to the customers, and he thought that he blew his cover, but Janet didn't really hear him, so his cover was safe.
Mark. I forgot my name. I said my real name. I don't think that she heard it.
We also see Paul at his best, as he's a great salesman, and without any help from Janet, he signs up new customers. For his last job, he travels to Nashville, Tennessee to work as a line worker, and he meets up with Damon, and he teaches him stuff from preparing food to packing it, and Damon is a great teacher, and he shows him everything step by step.
You can just catch him like that.
One motion.
Yeah.
You see my face?
Yeah, you see that? That's the one I was talking about.
And Paul follows his lead and does everything well. And later on their break, he learns that Damon is a single dad, and he used to live in a car, and the birth of his daughter gave him the motivation to pick himself up and work hard.
Yeah, she's the reason I get up every morning. I've only had 2 hours sleep today, and that's just something gets me up every morning, you know.
And now he's raising his daughter the way he should. Paul's undercover time finally comes to an end, and he meets both great and not so great employees, and he invites all of them to reveal his true identity. So hey guys, if you're loving this episode, just wait for the next boss who's gonna discover such a shocking fact about his employees, and also realize that it's not really easy to be an employee in his own company.
And your numbers, we no longer need your services.
But for now, back to the episode at hand. First in was Tito, and from the first second, tensions were high. He tells him that the way he treated his employees was unacceptable, but Tito tries to defend himself by saying that when he got the promotion, no one took him seriously, so he had to get more aggressive to get some respect. Paul didn't really buy this, but he tells him that since he was still young and can change, he'll give him a second chance, and he offers him a management position in Atlanta, and Tito takes the offer and promises to treat his employees better.
To treat my employees better. I'm a little harsh on them at times, more than I should. I made Paul a promise and I'm gonna stick to it.
Next in was Janet, and he tells her that she's someone he would seriously consider putting on his executive team, and that he loved her ambition and her love for her work, and he then gives her $10,000 so she could travel to Moe's catering convention and pitch her ideas and have a vacation for the rest of the time. He also gives her another $5,000 just for her to spend on herself.
And that he feels confident in, that is such a compliment.
Next in was Angelisa, and he tells her that she's a 1 in a million manager, and that he appreciated how she treated her customers and employees, and he then offers to bring her to Atlanta to work with the executive chef, and he then gives her $15,000 to help with her tuition, and another $40,000 to help her raise her kids.
This is just one of those moments where it makes everything that we do worthwhile. I feel really good.
Last in was Damon, and he tells him that he was a great trainer and worker, and he then gives him $15,000 so he can get a car, and $20,000 so he can send his daughter to a good daycare, and he then gives him another $20,000 for her college fund.
Don't be sugar for now, and I'm not gonna fail. You know, I can't fail. I won't fail. I may fall down, but I'm gonna always get back up.
Let us now follow our next boss, the founder and CEO of GSI Commerce, Mike.
I'm Michael Rubin. I'm the founder and CEO of GSI Commerce, and this is my creation.
GSI Commerce is one of the largest e-commerce businesses in the world. They handle merchandising and shipping for other companies as well, and they also work with organizations like the NFL and MLB. GSI basically does everything from creating the website to delivering the product to the customers. Mike loved this business since he was very young, and when he was just 8 years old, he started his own small business, which was selling stationery door to door in his neighborhood. By the time he was 21, he already had a business that was making $100 million a year. Being the founder and CEO of GSI, Mike is always busy, and he's very obsessed with doing everything perfectly and growing the company even more, so he doesn't have much time to spend with his family.
He is definitely a workaholic. Texting at 3 o'clock in the morning to Europe, he treats GSI as if it is his baby.
Mike wants to go undercover because he thinks it will help him improve the business, and the holiday market was here, and he wants to see how his employees are handling the excess number of orders that they get this season. This will also be a very good challenge for Mike, as he's always been his own boss, and he doesn't know how well he'll be doing as an employee. He'll be going undercover as Gary Rogers. His employees will be told that he's part of a documentary studying seasonal jobs. For his first job, he flies to Richwood, Kentucky to work in the fulfillment center. He meets up with Matt, who is a floor supervisor, and he takes him to a seasonal worker named Rochelle. Rochelle has been working at this job for only 3 weeks, but she's very good at it, and she first shows him how to load the delivery trucks, but this job was too hard for Mike, as he couldn't keep up with the speed of the upcoming boxes.
I had no idea that this would be the most difficult workout I've ever had in my entire life.
She then takes him to another station so they can work on stacking the boxes, and as they were doing this, Mike sees Rochelle using new techniques to be more efficient, which he really loves.
And it's employees like Rochelle that literally hold the company on their shoulders. I wish all of our employees we hired could be like her.
While working together, Mike learns that Rochelle wants a full-time job in the company, and she's really good at her job, but since she was hired just for the holiday season, she won't be able to continue anymore. For his next job, Mike travels to Melbourne, Florida to work as a call center operator, and he meets up with Adam.
I'm Adam. Nice to meet you, Gary.
How are you?
I'm
Nice
doing
to meet
great.
you.
You ready for some escalations?
I am as ready as I'll ever be.
Mainly works on taking customer complaint calls. Mike just watches Adam do his job for the first few calls, and he was very impressed. Adam is very polite to customers and always tries to solve their problems.
That's fine.
All right. And have you been satisfied with the service that I provided today?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. One moment.
Mike next takes some calls, and with the help of Adam, he does pretty well. The two then go for a break, and Mike learns that Adam had been working for a year and that he was fired from his previous job for being late. Now, you might ask why Adam was late, and it was because he just lost his daughter during birth, so he skipped work for that day to console his fiancée. But even this wasn't a good enough reason to skip work for his previous employer.
To see what he went through broke my heart, and it really made me miss my family. I was definitely not prepared for anything like that.
After their break, Mike goes to work with another employee named Danielle, and being confident in his ability, Adam takes the next call, but this call doesn't go great, as this time the customer was not taking his offer. Adam tries everything he can, but he couldn't convince the customer, and Danielle then gets frustrated and takes over the call. She then immediately gets into a fierce argument with the customer, which really upsets Mike, as this is not the way to talk to a customer that was having a problem.
Elizabeth, you're not letting me talk. You're not letting me talk, so I can't help you, Elizabeth. I'm sorry that you're having a hard time.
Honoring what the email.
Adam thinks about blowing his cover right on the spot, but before he can do anything, the call ends with the customer, as the customer just hung up the phone out of frustration. Adam then goes outside to let out his frustration and calms himself down. Danielle was the opposite of Adam, and her only goal was just to win the argument instead of helping the customer out and fixing their problem, which is technically her job.
I think she had a chip on her shoulder, and she wanted to prove that she was right and that satisfied the customer's needs, and that will never be acceptable in my company.
The next day, Mike travels to Richwood, Kentucky to work in the fulfillment center.
I'm back at the Richwood Fulfillment Center to work as a single-line packer.
And he meets up with Supervisor Greg, and he hands him over to Shannon. Shannon then teaches him to pack the boxes properly, and Mike tries his best to follow her lead, but he was too slow and only does half of the required boxes.
You're sitting about 40 for this hour? Don't panic yet. But we do need to make sure we're heading towards the 90 and improving each hour.
On their break, Mike learns Shannon works 7 days a week to raise her 2 boys, but as she's a single mom, she struggles to support them financially. They then go start their next shift, and this time, Mike was motivated to improve his speed, but as he gets ready to do his job, Gary returns with Mike's previously packed boxes, and he tells Mike that the boxes had multiple errors, meaning that they have to be redone, and he then tells him that he's not good enough for the job, and fires him on the spot.
We no longer need your services.
Nothing I can do.
No.
Mike is shocked that he got fired for the first time ever, but he understands that he didn't do his job well, and he thanks Shannon before leaving. For his last job, he travels to Louisville, Kentucky to work in another fulfillment center, and Mike was now determined to not get fired again, and he actually does a pretty good job. He meets up with Cameron, and he first takes him to the warehouse and shows him where the boxes are located, and Cameron then shows him how to pick out the boxes and fulfill the orders, and Mike was very impressed with how well Cameron does his job.
Everything that's gone wrong in his life, and how he just turns every negative into a positive. I mean, there's no other words to describe it than amazing.
And later, Cameron starts the competition on who can fulfill the most orders, which unsurprisingly, Cameron himself wins, but Mike gets to have fun too, and they do the job well.
You're done, so it's nice working with you.
Great working with you.
Thank you. And see you later.
And finally, Mike's undercover time has come to an end, and he invites his employees to his office to reveal his true identity. First in was Rochelle, and he tells her he was impressed with her work and offers her a full-time job at the company, which comes with a raise and full benefits.
I think I've got a pretty good chance at GSI of moving up and being a part of something that's absolutely wonderful.
Next in was Cameron, and he tells him that he was impressed by his work ethic and that he admires his dedication to raising his daughter well, and he then gives him a $1,000 gift card for his daughter's Christmas gift, and he offers him a management training program so Cameron can grow within the company.
What just happened in here was unbelievable. To have him do this for me, I couldn't thank him enough.
Next in was Shannon, and he tells her that she was a great worker and gives her $5,000 as a bonus so she can spend it on her kids.
Listening and then stepping up and doing something about something I care about. It's pretty amazing.
After that was Danielle, and Mike confronts her about her attitude, and Danielle tries to defend herself by saying that she was just at the job for a few weeks and apologizes for her behavior, and Mike decides to give her one last chance, which she accepts.
And get to learn from the experience and hopefully improve next time so the next customer doesn't have to hang up really angry.
Lastly, it was Adam, and Mike was very happy with him, so he gives him $10,000 so he can finally get married to his fiancée.
It really goes to show you a positive attitude really will bring good things to your life, and